I am, for the first time in a long time, paying attention to the NBA playoffs, and not just, on the outside looking in, but paying attention before 3 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. And it's because it's for things that are happening on the court, or in this case, on the baseline, compared to questions and pressers and everything off the court that the NBA has been known for the last decade plus. And I think another great example that the NBA is finally headed down a path where you can just be a sports fan and enjoy the game is with Matt Ishbia, that the owner of the Phoenix Suns, and Jokic last night. Second quarter, if you haven't seen it, and by now I'm sure many have, the run-in where Jokic is trying to get the basketball away from a fan. And you have Ishbia, owner of the Suns, who takes a WWE-like flop on a brush of an elbow after he put his hand on the lower back of Jokic and falls back, selling it, gets the technical, and then you can see him say, "We got one." Ishbia is looking at his friend saying, "We got one." He's sitting next to Isaiah Thomas, who I don't even know if Isaiah stood up for this. But I think an example of them not making a massive deal about it, at least not yet, is case in point to what they're getting right this postseason. Even the pressers were entertaining in the back and forth on, Ishbia is a fan. He's sitting down there with the fans. He's considered a fan. And Jokic admitted, he's like, yeah, I knew who he was, but he's a fan, not an owner in that moment.
He told me I was elbowing the fan. The fan put the hand on me first, so I thought the league's supposed to protect us or whatever. So, but maybe I'm wrong. So we will see.
Did you happen to know who the fan was?
He's a fan of. He's no. I know who he is, but he's a fan, isn't he? If he's sitting
Phoenix Suns owner,
sitting on the courts, and he's a fan, isn't he?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that he's a. So whoever it is, and he's a fan, he cannot influence the game by holding the ball.
Do you worry that this may lead to a fine or suspension or anything?
Why?
If the NBA official said that he thought you shoved him.
Mm-hmm. So, but his hands on me, so they're not going to protect me. They're going to protect the fan. I mean, not me as a person. I'm talking about as a player.
Yeah.
I mean, they can do whatever, of course. They don't care, but I think they're supposed to protect players.
Were you surprised that he didn't just hand you the ball? I mean, that's what I expected maybe would happen. The fan would.
Even if he didn't, I was trying to rip the ball, and so he didn't let go. So he's influencing the game, I think. I think he's supposed to get kicked out if he's influencing the game.
And so Ishbia is with a group of people there. There's another fan who had the basketball, and he's holding it up, not giving it to Jokic, who wants to get the play going again. And, that was the first response from Jokic. Then there's Mike Malone, his head coach, who had this to say about the incident.
I'm still not really sure what happened. I haven't seen a video of it. I think it's crazy that Nikola got technical foul in that situation. He's going to get the ball, and some fan is holding on to the ball like he wants to be a part of the game. Just give the ball up, man. You know what I mean? And, they deemed Nikola doing something that was excessive, I guess, and they gave him the tech, but I still don't really understand it.
Do you think the fans, the owner of the Suns, made any difference?
I don't give a I mean, I really don't care.
Drama, intrigue, you've got controversy, but then everything ends the controversy based on Matt Ishbia, who, is glad that he helped get the Suns a technical foul in their favor, but then tweeted out this response. Great win for the Suns last night. Amazing series so far. That should be and is the only story. Suspending or fining anyone over last night's incident would not be right. I have a lot of respect for Jokic and don't want to see anything like that. Excited for Game 5. Go Suns. And the Suns get a game back. They played very well. Their series is now 2-1 instead of 3-0. And you don't have a lot of commotion about what's right and what's wrong in terms of fine, suspension. And you have one of the owners, the opposing owner in the series, saying, yeah, that happened, but let's move past it. And I hope the league does.
And by the way, Jokic had 53 points in this
awesome.
game.
Yeah.
And Devin Booker also stunning performance in this game. The two superstars are playing like superstars. This is amazing.
And then a lot of series
I love this so much. I love it so much that Matt Ishbia needs to come out with a shirt that just says "Some Fan" in Phoenix Suns colors and wear that
Just
for the
a
rest
fan.
of the series. Some fan, a fan, just a fan. Sell them to Phoenix Suns. Become one with the fan base. Everyone wears the shirt that just says "Some Fan" on it. I love it a lot. Now, what Ishbia did, this physical altercation that happened, this wasn't exactly the malice of the palace.
No.
The little shove that happened and him flopping backwards as he was touched. Now, I'd also think that, if Jokic just barely, if you're standing up and not expecting it and he barely puts a hand on you, you might fall back. But it was the gesturing of the hands as he fell back.
It was an epic
like
flop.
he was taking a charge was incredible.
It was like playing soccer.
I love this, though. Charles Barkley goes off on it and says that any other fan that's not the owner, they're getting kicked out of the game.
And there
they're
was a
getting
fan
kicked
who
out of
was.
the arena.
There was a fan who was escorted
I
out.
agree with Charles Barkley. It's these little bits of controversy that's so much better than the huge bits of controversy around the league for years and years. These little moments within games are ones that we will always remember. I will remember the night I'm watching Reggie Miller put his hands around his own throat,
Yes.
telling Spike Lee that you and your entire team and city are a bunch of chokers when the Indiana Pacers beat the New York Knicks. I'm going to remember this also with the owner of the Suns getting into it with the league MVP of the past 2 years, not this year, a guy who has 53 points against them, and gives him a little love tap and knocks him over. And Ishbia is right. This is good for the game. This little dust up and moment is great for Ishbia in endearing himself with that Suns fan base. I don't think it's going to hurt Jokic at all.
No.
This is all good, and the response has been good. I like that people take issue with it. I like that Charles Barkley points out that any other fan would have been ejected from the game. And I love the fact that Ishbia is coming back, Hutton, and saying, no fines, no suspension.
That's how it should be.
It's over. It's not a big deal. It's emotional. It's NBA playoff basketball. This is what it should be. This is the way it should be. I absolutely love it. And I've been enthralled with these playoffs. Speaking of flops, by the way, the worst flop came from James Harden in the game where they ended up calling the charge on Tatum, but he comes up grabbing his head.
Yep.
And he was hit, I think, in like the belly button. And instead he's grabbing his head like he was bleeding from the head when he lowered his shoulder on him. That was a flop.
But here, so to me, the Denver-Phoenix series so far, up until yesterday, had been a flop. Because when is the last time, Chad, we've talked about Jokic? It was when there was, quote-unquote, controversy that he was going to win another MVP because he was white. That's really the last time he's been a topic. And he's now, based on this, being discussed. And by the way, I think this is great for the league, having this. Same thing for Ishbia. Ishbia has endeared himself to the Phoenix Suns fan base. Whenever he bought the team, he has said, and he's been very adamant, I am never going to sell this team. I will die as the owner of the Phoenix Suns. And then you have this on the sideline. He is he's this playoff version of Mark Cuban. He's right there where everyone can see him. And I know the other owners sit down, courtside as well. But he's willing to just say, like, hey, in the heat of the moment, whatever. And we got one. We got the technical. But, yeah, no fine, no suspension for, by the way, one of the top players in the NBA against your team. He's not trying to champion the idea that he should be sitting out Game 4. And I love that fact.
I think it's great of Ishbia for him to come out and say that. And hopefully that does stop any discussion of a possible suspension. I mean, if there's going to be more fine money, whatever, to Jokic. But suspending him for a playoff game. And by the way, series all tied up at 2.
2-2 plus
and then
Sixers,
going to a Game
Celtics,
5.
2-2.
Yeah. But the Suns doing this without Chris Paul, winning these games,
That's
really, really impressive. We got some good series going on. The Lakers have blown me away so far in this series, the way they've
hot
played.
and cold, though.
And as good as they look. And this has been sort of a series of hot and cold, it feels like, with both teams.
Golden State good
is
at home,
now
though,
the good
but
Golden State
I
team
know.
going to show up and win by 30?
Is Steph going to drop, 70?
I'm
in a
in.
game?
I'm in. We say all this to open today's show because it is a national conversation. But Hutton, I think personally, both of us were saying this because we're not NBA guys. We haven't been the last 5 to 10 years.
No,
And
I like
more
basketball,
of this,
but
more of this is a good thing. I'm a huge basketball fan. And when the basketball is good, I'm going to watch. But the more we're seeing with these types of controversies, these little mini fires that are erupting around the league, these are the types of controversies that help your sport. That's going to help grow the game. It's going to help get more eyeballs to NBA playoff games. And that's what we're seeing so far.
And
fantastic.
But we're also seeing personality from the players and owners without having to learn the personality through some grandstanding soapbox social media issue, right?
Yeah.
That's the other part and point to make for me is for the first time in a long time, I can't point to anything that says, you know what, the NBA sucks right now. Now, the regular season still does, and they've got to figure this out. But the teams involved in this postseason, great job. And I realize, like, the Lakers, Warriors have gone back and forth in blowouts. But I think by and large, this is a huge win for the NBA. They need to keep this up, and hopefully they're smart enough to do so.